you get more joy in the journey because you're taking steps towards it. And I was getting off the elevator this morning, and there was this couple on there, they were talking, and he hopped off on my floor, and he says to the lady in the elevator with him, he's like, oh, I don't even know why I hopped off on this floor. I'm not even excited to be here. Well, what are you doing, bro?
Yeah.
I didn't love being there, but I'm like, I'm okay being here now because I know I'm in the right place. Yeah. This is the stepping stone to where I'm meant to go. I was thinking about my wife. You know, she always wanted to be a mom her entire life. And a lot of people look down on that. But man, that girl is good at what she does. And she's impacting our kids now. And I used to think I had to marry like a super entrepreneur, and me and this woman are going to build this amazing businesses and we're going to crush the world. And two type A personalities don't blend very well, right? What your greatness is, it doesn't have to be X amount of dollars or whatever that looks like. Like, it could be just being great and where you're at right now. What's up, guys? Seed Time and Harvest podcast here with my main man, Alex Chapman. I am Nate Forse. And the theme of this podcast is to help you guys focus on the process and not so much focus on the outcome. You know, we're talking about the power of authenticity, continuing the conversation from episode 6. And, yeah, man, I just love where this is going, dude. I look forward to these days so much.
Oh yeah. I mean, it is very exciting, you know, and I think that it's good to talk through things. You know, it's good to, you know, again, step out of the comfort zone to this. I think that the talk about authenticity and fear and everything else, I mean, that's what stopped me from doing this before. Right? I mean, how many people that I know in my world are watching me do this? And they're like, man, you're late to the dance, homie.
Yeah.
You could be on this, or, who are you working with, Nate? Who is that guy? What are you guys doing? Or they look at, where we're doing it or what we're doing. And there's just the haters versus just like, oh man, they're putting out some content. That's great. Wonder where it goes. And so then there's people that love it, obviously, and that will watch, but then I love the doubters. I love the people that are watching and going, oh man. And then, here we'll be on, a year or two down the road and be in a totally different place because I know it, because I know that's where it's going. But
I think when people talk about haters a lot, that's the wrong focus, dude.
Yeah.
I think for every hater, like they say, you have a bad experience at a restaurant, for example, you're going to tell 7 people on average. If you have a good experience, you're probably going to tell 1 or 2. I know it's like getting a review from my clients, for example. It's like, oh, can you please give me a review?
Yeah.
And I do the same thing. It's just like you got to be reminded sometimes. It's just like where our brains naturally go. But I think there's only a couple haters ever out there. And if you give them energy, you're missing out on it, I'm not checking my likes and who posted this. It's just like, this is going to reach the right people. And if you don't like it, cool.
Yeah.
You don't have to spend your time here at all. Like, no one's telling you to be here. Like, this is free content.
Yeah.
I mean, me and you are doing this because we're being authentic to ourselves.
Yeah.
At a conversation. Hey, man, I've always wanted to do a podcast. Me too. Well, let's freaking do it. And we don't know how it's going to look. Like talk about being an entrepreneur. I think it's jumping off a cliff and building a plane on the way down. It's going to be messy. It's going to be ugly. But there's something better out there for you.
Yeah.
And I think it's just having the balls to go after what you're meant to do or what you feel like your life is meant to look like. And I think we all have the seed of greatness in us, but it's just whether you answer that call or not.
I know we all have the seed of greatness
totally.
in us, right? Like it's that is one thing that I think everybody, and we could talk about this ad nauseum. Like we could talk about this every episode, everything we go through of you can tap into your superpower.
Yeah.
Not everyone's a speed and can catch a football and athleticism.
Yeah.
But if you figure it out, oh wow, you can play the violin. And you obsessed over that for 4 years, and now you're in this, like, oh wow, you're great at math. You're great at but a lot of people, it's not sexy enough.
Yeah.
Their superpower wasn't sexy enough either when they were a kid or their friend group. And they were more introverted, and their passion was drawing, and it unlocked different sides. And like, I truly believe that the superpower is within all of us. You just need to know what it is, and then when you find it, not being afraid to be like, this is what I'm good at.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where I feel I've grown personally and in business, is where I used to think that okay, when as an entrepreneur, you have to do everything. You got to be the guy that can do the spreadsheets. You've got to be the guy that can do the marketing. You've got to be the guy that can talk to the people. You got to be the guy that can do logistics. You've got to be the ops guy. You got to wear every hat, because that's what every guy on these podcasts, like, when you're building your company, you've got to, well, what if I'm not good at that stuff?
Yeah.
And then I kept running into roadblocks where, even with Fitness on the Rocks, where I went to go, and I tell this story during onboarding, and where I went to go and was talking to Mikey, and I was going to go try to sell Fitness on the Rocks to 24 Hour Fitness. And I showed up I didn't even have a fucking presentation. I just like flew out to their corporate offices and just showed up thinking that I was going to like talk my way through this. And this guy was like talking about an acquisition, and he's like, did you bring anything? And I'm like, no, man, let's just talk about the show. And I like showed him the YouTube video. And this is like an executive. And he's like, he was polite. You know? He like politely asked me to like, leave. And I thought like it was in the bag. And but it did not go well, right? Like nothing went well about this. But had I known back then, okay, I need a logistics coordinator. I need somebody that's good at, marketing. I need somebody that's great at this, and then I was like the person just directing the play, and being humble enough to be like, that's just not my strong suit, dude. Can you do this for me? I'll pay you X, right? Instead, I was like, no, I'll stay up till 4 a.m. trying to figure out how to do this, right? And then I failed, right? Because of you're taking on everything and you're not being true to yourself. And now in here, I know what I'm good at, because I sit next to Krieger and go, I'm not doing that. There's no way I could have done that. Yeah. Right? Like, I look at Mikey and go, oh man, I'm not, how do I have that conversation? I'm not good at that. Can you have that conversation? Or can you teach me how to have that conversation? And being humble enough to be like, can you help me with this? Yeah. You and I do that to each other all the time. Hey, does this sound right? Yep. Is this how I should say this to this person? Am I thinking of this right? And it's like, you really do have to remove ego if you want to go. And dude, and nobody, like if you don't have mentors, or you don't have people you're talking to, like Reggie, or, shout out to him. I still haven't gotten on a call with him. I will one of these days. Yeah. But or having people like this that you can run next to, or, companies that you're looking at and looking at their CEO or different things, like, okay, how does this guy, and you're just sitting around a group of like your peers, like your boys or your girls, and you're sitting in there and you're not trying to level up. That's tough, man. You'll stay there. You have to have mentors. Like, I don't care. Like we said, no one's done this alone. Yep. Nobody's done this alone.
It's true. Like, you are the product of the 5 closest people to you. And it's even down to like body weight. That's the craziest thing. Wealth, happiness, all this stuff. So it's like, if you want to change your results, get around people that have what you want. But you have to be humble in that circle too. But you also have to look at yourself and be like, yeah, there's some things I need to change. This might need to be sharpened and molded. I think when you were talking, I think about my father-in-law. When I first met him,
I feel like I know who he is. A big guy, right? Yeah. I feel like I've seen him in the gym somewhere.
He goes to Vasa.
Okay.
I don't know.
Maybe
Anyways,
back in the day.
Note, probably, yeah. But like, he literally cannot pound in a nail. But the dude can write a checkbook. Yeah. And he's been a master at like just renewing his mind every day. He has notebooks. Well, he has a whole website now on all the thought conditioners and all this different stuff that he used in his insurance career that gave him the life he wants. And he was able to retire early and all this other stuff. And it was like a lesson to me as a guy who had to be everything to everyone. I'm going to just outwork all this stuff. I'm like, that thought process, that's not the way I think. And I think about it now, like being in real estate, like I got to stay in my lane. So it's like this podcast, I never did it because I thought I had to edit it and do all this other, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's another 12 hours that I got to spend on this thing, and I'm not good at this yet. So why don't I outsource it to someone? And it's like going into this house now, it's like I've had to hire all this stuff out, but guess what? It's giving me time with my family, because it's like the main thing is the main thing. You got to keep the main thing, or else you're going to get sidetracked at all times. And I don't know, man. I've shared this with so many people recently, so I feel like I wanted to share this on here. And it was, for me, when I was in my training business, a way of determining your hourly rate so that you know what you need to outsource. And it's real simple. You take the goal you want, 500 grand. You say how many hours you want to work per week. I'll work 40 hours a week and I want to work 40 weeks in the year because I want to take some time off. You take that number, divide it, and that gives you your hourly rate. So your hours per day times day or weeks in the year, divide that by the goal. So say that number is $500 an hour. What do you need to do to make $500 an hour? So if you're cutting grass, you probably need to just pay Junior down the street,
and go get more lawns.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, that's a simple way of knowing like, hey, this is what I need to outsource, or what I'm doing right now isn't getting me to where I need to go. And so it's like, that gave me so much clarity when I learned that, like, oh, this is what I need to charge. This is how many sessions I need to do. And I take that now into real estate. Oh, this is how many deals I need to do. I need to do, and it's boiled down to me to be just one closing a week. As long as I average that or close to that, I'm going to hit my goal. Mm-hmm. I'm not worried about, oh, this deal was only $5,000 because I know what next one's coming 25 or 50 or whatever that number is, So it's like, that's one of the best ways I've found to like determine that. And if it doesn't bring you joy or bring you income, outsource it.
God, the joy part, right? Like of being happy.
Yeah.
And what you're doing, that's tough. Mm-hmm. Right. And I do feel like that's part of unlocking your superpower. And we've all had to do shit we didn't want to do to get places that we need to go. Right.
Yeah.
But like, we've all been in odd end jobs. And if you're in an odd end job right now, or you're sitting, and you're sitting there and you're in your cubicle, or you're working for some company that you're not happy with, it's okay. As long as in your mind, you know that this is a lily pad.
It's a stepping stone.
This is a stepping stone. As long as you're in that headspace, you're fine. You can deal with
because you
the
know
little
something
prison
better is
sentence
coming.
You're in,
Yep.
right? You know, okay, I'm in here. I'm locked up for I've got 9 more months. As long as you have a plan, it's easy to get out of those situations, right? And you can put it in. So I think a lot of it is you are doing something that you don't want to do. Something that's not fulfilling. Something that is X amount, $22 an hour.
Yep.
No matter how many hours you work, you're making that per hour. So you can go work 80 hours a week, I guess, if they allow you to.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of stuck in a hamster wheel with that mindset. So for the people that are in these like sort of hamster wheels and these like repetitive jobs where they come in and they do X, Y, and Z every morning. They print this, they file that for so-and-so, they clean up this area for the office, then they have this meeting, then this call, and then their day's over. It's very hard, I feel, for that person to dream like we dream, right? And so they hear these podcasts or whatever, and they're like, sure, easy for you to say, Nate, your $25K commission check that might come, nice.
Yeah.
Right? And they're because they're stuck in that headspace, but it's if you're in that hamster wheel, it's just you just have to figure out what and how you're going to get off, like what you're going to do and how am I going to get off of this? Because then it's easy.
Well, it's been proven, dude.
Then
like,
it's easy to sit there.
Like you don't have satisfaction when you lose 50 pounds. You have satisfaction when you lose 5 pounds. Like how many times have you gotten to the end and it's been like, oh, that's it?
Oh yeah.
You get more joy in the journey because you're taking steps towards it. And I was getting off the elevator this morning. And there was this couple on there, they were talking, and he was bringing his lunch in or something like that. And he hopped off on my floor, and he says to the lady in the elevator with him, he's like, oh, I don't even know why I hopped off on this floor. I'm not even excited to be here. I was like, well, what are you doing, bro?
Yeah.
But you're right. Like there are times where you might have to work a job. Like when I was getting my license, I had to go back to being a trainer, teaching group fitness class. I didn't love being there, but I'm like, I'm okay being here now because I know I'm in the right place. Yeah. This is a stepping stone to where I'm meant to go. And going back to, what we opened this thing with, understanding like what you're meant to do. I was thinking about my wife. She always wanted to be a mom her entire life. And a lot of people look down on that. But man, that girl is good at what she does. And she's impacting our kids now. And I used to think I had to marry like a super entrepreneur and me and this woman are going to build this amazing businesses and we're going to crush the world. And, two type A personalities don't blend very well, right? I thought I knew what I needed, but talk about being a vessel, like I had to have something work through me and introduce me to the woman I was meant to be with. So anyways, it's just like what your greatness is it doesn't have to be X amount of dollars or whatever that looks like. Like, it could be just being great and where you're at right now. It could be being a single mom, being at home. It could be, you know, working as a garbage man. But if you do it great, there's going to be people who see you and might give you an opportunity. But if you're showing up, I would think about this trainer at my gym. Man, this dude has a terrible attitude every time he's there. He's mean to people. He just like
gym you go to right now.
Yeah, like he just puts out a bad vibe, and I'm like, bro, do you know how many wealthy people are in this gym right now? Douglas County is the third wealthiest county in the whole country, and I've made so many connections. I'm in real estate because of this, because I just had a conversation with someone one day, and you're a good person. You're a good person. You never know where it can lead to, and like you never know. I heard someone say once, treat every person like they're the gatekeeper of your destiny. Because you never know who that person, talk about Alec on that last podcast. Like, you don't know who he knows and this person, But if you show up, oh man, this is only $1,500 I'm making. Oh, come on, give me my check. Like, that person might know, and you're not doing it because you know the person. You're doing it because it's the right thing to do. So showing up and being the best version of yourself, that's what you're meant to do. And that's all I can do. Like, I think in terms of football, control what you can control. That was my number one lesson I learned. And all I can control is my attitude and my effort every single day. And guess what? When you focus on that, you're not focused on the outcome so much, and you can actually be happy and have joy, because comparison is the thief of joy.
It's the whole time you've been talking, that's all that's been ringing in my head is the comparison, right? This world we live in, that all you're doing is looking to the left, looking to the right, looking behind you, and then of course looking in front of you.
Well, think about how do you run a race?
Yeah,
like I saw this race. This kid was running. He like turned to the side and like gave the dude the deuces. Falls in his face. I'm like, that's a metaphor for life right there.
Have you watched that documentary with the sprinters?
Oh, dude, I just got done with that. So good. I'm so pumped for the Olympics now.
Freaks, dude. I love it. But what's so cool about that documentary, we'll derail here for a second, is the training that they go through.
Yeah.
Grueling training for 9 seconds, 10 seconds.
And think about it. You're not going to
get on stage for 10 seconds.
And you train for 4 years.
Yeah. And it's...
Talk about delayed gratification.
Whoa. I mean, I feel like it was a great documentary, but I feel like they could do a part 2 easily.
Oh, yeah.
And really talk about what they're going through, because it was all about it was entertaining because it was all about the show, and I loved it because they kept me engaged with how many races they were running, and you were just constantly watching them, dig in and go.
Yeah.
But man, the training, and yes, they're freak athletes. Yes, they're special people. But one bad day, and talked about their mindsets. Like right before the race, you would see people do like certain things to get them ready, and if they were in their head about something or their career, or they won the gold before and now they're on this pedestal, and that guy, it just ruined him.
Yeah,
forget his name, but like he had won the gold, kind of like a fluky.
Yeah.
But he didn't win it on accident. He trained, he prepped, he went, and he was the best that day.
Yep.
He won. And he beat out everyone else that were trying to beat him. So it wasn't an accident that he won the gold medal. But then he couldn't deal with the fame and the pressure, and he broke down up here. And he had a couple injuries, and his back was tightening up on him, and then he would be in his head. And you and I both know that, like, no matter what's really aching or pain on you, when that adrenaline shot kicks in you and it's go time, whether you're in a boxing match or you're on the field or whatever, you don't feel a damn thing.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah.
And so he was in his head and would lose. And it was such an incredible show. I recommend it.
Yeah.
Do you remember what it was called?
Sprint.
Oh my gosh.
I was like in the zone.
Man, if you haven't, I watched the whole thing that first night I watched it. If you haven't watched Sprint, go watch Sprint. It's incredible. And I'll watch The Receiver on Netflix too.
Anyone who's great at what they do, I'm fascinated by their thought process. And going back to the sprinters, it's a complete mental game. Like going through football, we used to say like, it becomes less a physical game and more a mental game. Because once you get up higher levels, like everyone's good. Everyone was the best on their team in high school. Like, okay, dude, well, no one cares about your high school highlights. Like, we know that got you to this point. What are you going to do now?
Yeah.
And the thing I loved about that was like Noah Lyles, he was just unflappably confident. Like,
so confident.
He's like, I'm the man. I'm going to win. Like, it's my race. I'm racing me. I'm not racing you. And that was like a thought to me. Every track meet I ran, I was... Oh, he's here. I was never in my own authenticity. It's like, no, you're meant to be here. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here.
I never ran track.
Oh man, it's a head game. I used to get so nervous before a track meet because it wasn't my teammates. Honestly, it was a lot of like I couldn't blame someone else if things went wrong. It was only me.
Yeah.
It's all. I remember I would ran the 400. My legs would be noodles before that, bro. Like,
really?
Oh my gosh! Like I felt like I was literally about to faint, and then like you get through it
Bambi
somehow.
legs.
Oh, totally. But like to me, every sport. I'm a proponent of young athletes playing as many sports as possible because I think there's too much specialization now. So you get good at doing a bunch of drills, which is cool. But like, what are you learning about yourself? And so that's why I love that show so much. Is it was all about mindset because the margin for error is like you think of 100-meter. You make a mistake, you're not going to make up for it.
No.
Or unless you're like like Usain Bolt. I think he started 6th out of the blocks on all his world records, but he was just that good. But it was all his training and all his stuff and the consistency. You know, we talk about motivation. I think motivation is complete bullshit. If you need to get motivated for something, you're doing the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. Discipline is what gets you there. It's just like, no, I'm deciding like this is my standard, so I'm showing up.
Yeah.
I'm showing up for myself first and foremost, and I'm not comparing myself to those around me. And that was the coolest thing. It's like those athletes that were elite, it was all about them. It wasn't about who showed up that day. And that was my biggest takeaway from that show.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
I was hypnotized
until
it was done. But it's to the back to the comparing yourself, right?
Yeah.
So getting back on track with that of like, you know, because of social media, podcasts, all of it, just depending on what your algorithm is on Instagram, one thing I would challenge everyone to do is go on to your Instagram and anything that you know, just your gut tells you there's a distracting element in your life, whether it be, you know, fitness girls working out. Why do you and I need to watch that, right? Like, why would I need to sit here and watch some woman squat? Yeah. Unless you're just doing it to be that guy, right?
It's a gateway.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And or, you know, girls dancing. There's a lot of women, right? It really just will like kind of just absorb into your mind, into your algorithm, and now all you're seeing is you know, fitness girls and women doing this and people on a beach or a yacht or whatever, and then you're clicking on rich people doing this, or you know, the Tate brothers, you know, on their yachts, and then Dan Bilzerian, and he's around all these women, right, and doing all this stuff, and all of a sudden, because what Instagram will do is it'll time you. So, wow, you were on Dan Bilzerian's page for 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. You must love Dan Bilzerian. We're going to put him on your feed every day. Yeah. And then you clicked on 9 women on his page. You stayed on this one for 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. We're going to put her on your page. It really just, it creates this vision board for you of just debauchery. Mm-hmm. So one thing I would challenge people to do, I did this a long time ago, is go through and just give it a shot. And a lot of people won't do this. Most people won't do this. And click on that woman and put this, like, you don't want to see this a post like this anymore. Yeah. And it'll say, why don't you want to see posts like this? It's just not for me. Right. And you go through, or Dan Bilzerian, or these things that you're seeing of people driving Bugattis and, you know, balling out in nightclubs or whatever it is that you're kind of just like have this FOMO about in these comparisons, or entrepreneurs that are doing things that you're just like, I'll never be there. Go through and not only unfollow, but go through and say, I don't want to see this on my Instagram anymore. And if you go on my Instagram right now, it's boxing, real estate, golf, and family, like baby stuff, vacations.
It's a reflection.
And it's a reflection of who you are. So I think if anyone pulls it up right now and starts scrolling through their Instagram, that is who you are. That's what your mindless, like, just this hypnotizing element. And that's why so many people are stuck in these cubicles and in these jobs, is because when they're sitting there at night for 2 hours, just zombies, scrolling through these things, and they're instead of watching like Think and Grow Rich, or this amazing pep talk from, David Goggins, or some cool podcast that really inspires them, or someone going through a hard time, they're looking at stuff they don't have or will never have.
Yeah.
Because they're in this headspace. So I would challenge everyone to go through it, because when you're comparing yourself constantly like that, you're just, it literally breeds, depression, anxiety, and you're going to wake up and never feel worthy. You're never going to have that physique. You're never going to drive that car. You're never going to get that girl.
Yeah.
And you're depressed. And not because you're depressed or you're not enough, because you're just being fed all of this toxic energy through your phone.
Totally.
So I mean, I went into Haley and I were in New Orleans just for a day. I love New Orleans, but I don't know, have you been?
I played a football game there once.
Did you?
And it was not a great experience, but didn't get to experience New Orleans in any way. Yeah.
Super cool town. Well, a lot of people are like, oh man, it's dangerous. I'm sure it is. I hang out in this one little area in the French Quarter, and we go through and we eat and we get back to the hotel, right? But we went into this antique shop, and did you see the things I posted around $1.9 million
that was
clock or
unbelievable.
whatever?
Yeah.
So it's called Miss Rao, and you go in and it's very, very intense security at the front, and this dude, and you have to check in and everything else, and you go through. Well, the very first, and it says this is all stuff that people buy for their homes.
Yeah.
Right? Collectors and people like this. And the first time she and I went, there was a $2 million chessboard. Right? And then we saw a Monet that had just been taken off the wall that someone bought for $250,000. And we saw this Buddha statue that of course you would put it in a mansion. Well, in my opinion, I was this should be in a museum or something. It was $2 million, Buddha statue carved out of granite from the 7th century.
Wow.
Right. And so you talking to the person, who buys this? Martin Luther King's cane was in there for 300,000. Really cool stuff in here. But then in my mind, I'm the kind of money you have to come into a place like this and go, how about this, honey? It's a mosaic painting made in the 17th century.
Take 3.
But I know it's listed for 900,000. I wonder if we can get him down to 700. Where are you in your life if you're walking into this place as a consumer, not as a visitor like me? I mean, I was in there look at this cool stuff, right? And we're reading the notes. But then for me, of course, and you would have done the same thing of where do I need to be in life?
Yeah.
Because a lot of this stuff are assets, appreciating assets.
For sure.
And where do you need to be in life where $1 million painting, was that even what I would do? And so she and I were talking if we had it like that, is this even what we would come in and buy? You would have to have a love. And then it was no, these are people that have a love for history and for art and they come in and they have this pile of money and they're I've been looking for this, and they put it in this case in their house or whatever, or they love the history of this piano was on the Titanic. Well, they shopped. I mean, the Petit Philippe clock that was on there, and they were that particular clock. They were bidding for the Titanic contract.
Wow.
I think Cartier got it or something like that. But the guy told us this is the clock they made to outfit the Titanic, and they lost the contract to Cartier. Right? It was just such a cool. But I did leave kind of geez, boy, I'm so far.
There's another level.
I'm so far away.
Yeah.
I am so far away from whoever is walking in here and swiping their black card.
Man,
you know what I mean?
It makes me think, I heard this one time, that a poor person will eat for value. They'll go to the buffet and just stuff their face, right? A middle-class person will eat, poor person will eat for amount. A middle-class person will eat for value. They go to Applebee's, the 2 for $20, right? And a rich person eats for the experience. They don't care how much it costs. They're going to Sushi Den and it's a $1,000 meal. And it's just this was a great experience. I get to spend it with you. We had a great conversation. So there's no amount of money that's worth, And that's what made me think about that place. It's that person is purchasing that for the feeling they get from it. They're not thinking about all the other stuff. It's a different mindset. It's wealth is not just passed down in an inheritance, it's passed down in the mindset. You think about the people that built America, like the Rockefellers and all these other families that we're still talking about. They all have family crests. they all have a coat of arms that says, this is what our family values are. So every junior who's born, he immediately knows what it is. It's like culture's caught, not taught, right? It's like, but I think as dads, we have the ability to set that for our families too. It's like,
absolutely.
I think about like my soon-to-be son or daughter that's going to be born. It's like, they're never going to know the struggle I went through. That's just going to be stories for them. They're in a house now that's like, hey, this is just normal. This is just life. My son probably won't even remember the small house he was born in, right? And it's like, I have the ability to set that course for the rest of my generation. I think that's what legacy is. Like I say on my website, like it's not just a home to live in, it's a place to build your legacy. And I truly believe that, because it's like, what's more important than your house, right? That's your safe place, all this other stuff. But it means so much more than just like, these are 4 walls with a roof, right? And it's like, I think a lot about that of like, you know, I just have to keep doing what I need to do, and that's creating my legacy. I'm not trying to compare. I'm not, oh, I made a little bit more than Alex, so therefore but then it's like, well, who else? Bill Gates? I'm way below that one, you know? So anyhow, it's just like, focus on you, you know? But I do like love that challenging thought process of like, yeah, like how much do I need to have in the bank to just be like, oh yeah, it's $1 million. I'll take 2 of those.
Yeah, man, you got to dream big.
Yeah,
you do. You have to dream big, and you have to get around the people.
Yeah,
that'll help you get there, because no one's got it. No one's taking this journey alone. I think that's a theme that I would love to have continue on here. Is that you can't go anywhere alone. Like it's a myth. It's a lie. That's a lie. I mean, there's not one thing. There's not one thing that anyone accomplished that was great, and they didn't have a dad pushing them, or a coach, or a teacher, or or a friend, or a family member, or somebody that rose up for them, and extended a hand and pulled them in.
Yep.
Yes, their work ethic. Yes, their talent. Yes, their skill sets and everything. But somebody, something, some organization, somebody pulled them in there.
Well, even more like that. I don't choose to have my heart beat every day.
Yeah,
it's just on autopilot. Thank goodness.
Yeah,
I'm not thinking about every breath I'm taking, and so it's like that's where you can just be grateful every single day.
Yeah, the gratitude, man. That's hard to. What you just said is really powerful.
Yeah.
That's what you just said is something where if no matter what you're going through, you woke up that morning, you're breathing, you're walking, you're winning
for sure.
You can go do it. If you're here and we're having this conversation, we're still okay. Everything's still okay.
I mean, my worst day is someone's dream day.
Yep. Yeah. That's true, man. You gotta be grateful for that. Can't take that for granted.
Well, let's wrap this one. This has been fun. This is episode 7, Seed Time and Harvest. Peace.